There we go. Bum bada bum bada bum. Bum bada bum bada bum. Bum 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 bum. Okay. Hi, Nana. Hi, beautiful. Do 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 do. I'm super late, almost by 2 hours. Oh yeah, or an hour and a half. Hello, everybody. Go ahead and start asking questions. Oh shit, you are. I just didn't have the live stream open. Ha! Oh, I'm a fucking genius. Hey Hector, great to see you. Thank you, thank you. Hello, hello. Tips for running a relationship without sex. Christian relationship waiting till marriage. Actually, I know a little bit about this. Now that you asked this. Um by the way, did you make a decision to stop having sex, or is this like something that you chose, or something that was kind of just happens to be that way? Um but I actually have a client of mine. I worked with him, I think it was 2 years ago, and or maybe a year ago, I don't remember exactly. And he wanted some advice on how to he's a born again Christian, so he's had sex before, and his wife, or not his wife, sorry, his girlfriend, or he was looking for a girlfriend, that's right. But his girlfriend now, she's also a born again Christian, and so he wanted some advice, like, how do you apply all these principles, but the farthest I can go is kissing, so does that limit it? And I said, well, of course it does, right? Of course it limits it, but is it impossible? No, right? But it doesn't have the advantages. It's kind of like this very difficult middle ground. It's like, You guys might find this interesting. I know that you may not be ever in this situation, but the idea of these principles still working in a sexless relationship is quite interesting and can show you how seduction works. So he did get a girlfriend, and so they're not having sex, and he ended up contacting me like a month and a half ago, and he has a girlfriend now, and so he wanted some updates on, like, you know, how am I dealing with things. And it was just basic relationship maintenance, right? The only difference is you don't have that level of connection without sex, because ultimately sex is, you know, it's so important that they're waiting till marriage to do it, right? Like, even if you're abstaining from it, you're still giving it even greater importance in a way, which is fine if that's your religion. You know, I never tried to convince him otherwise. I fully accepted that that was his position, and I just adjusted my teachings. So the idea, the answer to your question is a Christian relationship waiting till marriage. You are going to have all the same principles, right? She needs to respect you. She needs to, you know, see you as, you know, a little bit more dominant. You do need to be attractive to her. Because the weird thing about this is that if this was a super conservative thing you were doing, you would already be married, right? Your parents would arrange the marriage, or you guys would like each other, and boom, you're going to get married, right? So then you could quickly get into that part about having sex, and then you're obligated to stay with each other no matter how bad it gets, unless obviously something extreme happens. So that would be the advantage of a conservative society, like somewhere like India, where there's still a lot of arranged marriages, or in the Middle East, where it's, you know, if you have sex without a marriage, you know, you can face some pretty serious penalties. So, without that, you're kind of in this weird, like, I got to keep her interested until we're ready to get married. Well, then you got to keep her attracted. So that's obviously going to include still being attractive. So you have, you know, you have to keep good fundamentals. You have to keep good fundamentals. You have to keep, basically it's the same was what I'm trying to tell you. You're just not having sex, but you are going to have a little bit more drama than usual, because you don't have sex, because sex really does chill girls out. I mean, you can have your girlfriend acting a fool, and then you shouldn't use sex to fix it. It's not a good move. It usually just creates this bad habit between, like, oh, we have a problem, then we have hot makeup sex. You should solve the problem. Or if it's not that bad, she just kind of has an attitude, that's fine. Then you fuck her, right? But she shouldn't start drama. There's a difference between having an attitude and drama. And you don't have that in a sexless relationship. But basically, everything is the same, except you're not having sex. All the same principles apply. You just have to be really good at talking. And you got to maintain her attraction through your frame of talking. So it's just a constant seduction. Basically, you're just perpetually in the seductive part. So you see it less as, like, I mean, you do still treat it like a relationship, but you're always kind of seducing her. But yeah, I don't think it fundamentally is that different. You're just going to be not enjoying it as much, probably. And do I think personally that it creates a stronger marriage, or a higher likelihood of not getting divorced? I don't think so. You know, I think there's stats out there that say arranged marriages work. You know, people stay together, but that's not necessarily a successful metric. Nice to be with the mic out of the way for your cat. Exactly. Oh yeah, I have to move it back. I got to give her limelight. You know, 1 second. Let me see, make sure my beautiful girl she has her, there we go, she's good. You can see Nana. That's Nana, everybody. I'm sure you've seen her in my videos before. Hello, beautiful. Okay, so do you have any advice for a man who's an anagram type 4 in the modern dating world? Oh, 4 is... I'm a 1. A 4 is the people pleaser, isn't it? Anagram type 4. Or no, the individualist. That's what it is. What to do, what to avoid overdoing. Self-aware, sensitive, and reserved. They're emotionally honest, creative, and personal. Okay, so basically you're probably really likely to chase. You know, you're really likely, or sorry, to be way too open with your feelings. You don't always have to tell everyone everything. There's a difference between being honest and being transparent. You don't always need to be transparent because it's not always smart to be transparent. Like, it's not helpful to tell everyone how you're feeling all the time, right? I remember I learned this lesson when I was really young. I was in like fucking, I don't even know, 5th grade or something, or even before it. And this woman who was a friend of the teacher, she made some traditional Jewish food for the class. And I just that day or a day before, like, someone taught me, like, you really got to be honest. It's super important to be honest. I was like, oh, okay. So, like, you should always tell everyone what you're feeling. And she made this, like, bread and something, and it tasted like shit. It was honestly horrible. So I walked up to her and I said, thank you for giving us the food, but I have to tell you it was very bad. You know? And she was like, okay. And then afterwards, my teacher pulled me aside. She's like, hey, Hector, that wasn't very nice. I said, well, you know, I don't know if I just got the lesson or if I, like, responded. But in my mind, it was like, well, I'm supposed to tell the truth, aren't I? And she's like, yeah, well, you don't have to go up and tell people bad things. It's like, oh, okay. Right. Like, think of the extreme and then try to tailor that to your life, right? So walking up to a girl and expressing that you're attracted to her, okay, that's fine, right? That's a good truth to give. But, like, I don't know, if she's not responding very fast, are you going to text her, hey, I get really insecure when you don't text back? Probably not a really good thing to say early on, right? Now, actually, interestingly enough, regarding the Christian relationship without sex, the client of mine who checked in with me, one of the things that he doesn't like is when his girlfriend takes a long time to respond. And what pisses him off is that his girlfriend, she'll take a long time to respond, but then if he's not giving her attention and trying to see her, she gets upset. And he kind of got upset. He kind of got fucking annoyed because he's like, okay, you don't give me attention, but then if I don't give you attention, you make a big stink about it. I'm like, yeah, but she's a girl, right? But it's still unacceptable. But then what he says, but when I start to give her a lot of attention, guess what I see? She's less attracted. She actually starts taking longer to respond. She gives me less attention. When I pull back, she actually gives me more attention. But then it reaches this critical mass point where it's like too much, and then she gets upset. And I said, yeah, that there's this fucking spectrum, right? You give too much attention, and then she's bored of you. She's not interested. You're over-validating her, etc. Well, if you deliver, well, then she's going to get pissed. She's going to feel like you don't care about her, da-da-da-da-da. So all seduction, most of the time, is giving enough attention so that she's satisfied, but not so much that she's bored and not interested anymore. But it's not just about that. Like, you can be a person who gives a lot of attention. Well, I don't know. I got to think about it. Myself, like, I'm a pretty big loner, so I won't really give my girl a lot of attention naturally. It's not like I'm thinking about it, right? But I also know that it's not a good strategy to, like, constantly want her attention, because constantly wanting her attention is a sign that I'm needy, right? It's just not attractive. So if anyone should be the one who's chasing for attention, it should be the woman. And people can say it shouldn't be that way, but it is. Because women generally want social connections. Men generally want, I mean, we want social connections, obviously, but generally we want to do stuff. Like, women are more likely to watch TV and movies. Men are more likely to play video games because we want to do things, right? So the doing things does take more of our attention. So we're generally going to be occupied more of the time. One second, I gotta blow my nose. Oh, this is my food napkin. Probably putting French fries up my fucking sinuses. So that would be my first advice to you, is really work on how explicit you are with expressing your emotions. Also, not only explicit, like the actual words that you use, but how much emotion you show. There's a difference between telling a girl, hey, you know, for instance, hey, it really makes me upset. This is like what I told my client to do. Tell her that it makes you upset when she doesn't respond to your text. Now, this is his girlfriend, right? So he's been with her for a long time. It's not some girl that he met a week ago, right? So there's some trust there, or some connection there where you can get, you can actually express your emotions honestly. But there's a difference between saying, hey, it makes me upset when you will go a day without responding, but then you get upset when I don't give you enough attention. It's a contradiction and it's annoying. If you say it like that, that's fine. But if you say it like, it really upsets me when it... Okay. Same confession on the level of words, totally different level deep down. Hey, Hector, how have you been? I'm starting college on Tuesday and want to work on my facial expressions. Which would you recommend first? I would recommend your listening face. Work on your listening face. So how you listen to people, right? You don't look bored, look interested. But don't look overly interested, like, oh yeah, okay, come on, yeah. Then you're just going to annoy people. Then you're a suck up, right? So interested face is you're listening to someone and you're kind of looking and you're smiling. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Or you have a resting facial expression, but you look interested. That's probably the best. It's like you're just like this, but your eye contact is very strong. What most people do when they're listening is they go, mm-hmm, yeah, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, and they don't notice it. And it annoys me. And it's what a lot of people do that. They'll pay attention for a little bit, but then as you go on with like details, they go, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But then they'll be happy to fucking drone on, right? Most people suck at fucking conversation. It's actually annoying. Because I'll be there, I'll be really active listener and da-da-da, and then I start talking, I'm like, oh yeah, okay. But if you want people to like you, you should be a great listener. That's the downfall of being a really likable person, is that you're providing generally a lot more value than the world is giving you. Socially, at least. So your listening face. That's a weird sentence. What? What a weird thing to say. Get some strange people on here. I always go out, but I never get girls. Oh, but back to like the listening face. The listening face is very important because, I mean, you're going to use it most of the time. I'd say work on that, honestly. I know it's not like a seductive thing, but it's going to help you just being social in general. So in college, it's going to help a lot. I always go out, but I never get girls. I'm a good-looking guy, but girls always turn me down. I need advice. What should I do? Generally, if you're good-looking, as you say, I mean, you might be. I don't know if you actually are. But if you're getting consistently turned away, even though you're good-looking, you probably come off very arrogant or angry. It's one of the two, arrogant or angry. So I'd suggest you try to figure it out. Arrogant or angry. Usually it's I mean, it's a lot of time it can be both. Yeah, like I had this one guy, he definitely had a lot of anger in his heart. He would always deny it, but he was a cool, good-looking guy, and he got some girls. But whenever I looked at the guy, all I saw was just rage. Like I could just feel the rage, and it was arrogant at the same time too. It was both. And I think it's one of his biggest weaknesses, and he doesn't even notice it. And he's kind of a piece of shit. How was your week? My week was good. I just moved into a new apartment on New Year's Eve. So I guess a week and a half, or even 2 weeks. It's all kind of blended together, a lot of shit. But I'm almost fully moved in. So I mean, I moved in, but they're just fixing stuff in the apartment. So, any suggestions on flirting for an Enneagram Type 4? Since they're not usually very witty and we're pretty comfortable with feelings of melancholy and not in the mood with high energy flirting. Oh, hi, Anthony. Hello. Yeah, let me answer a different question, then I'll get back to yours. Hey, Hector, I'm going with a girl to a hotel room considered higher effort than going to sex with her in a car or in a bathroom. I mean, yeah. I mean, getting her... But I remember one time I met a girl at a hostel and we went out to eat, and then I told her I wanted to take her to a hotel, and she's like, I don't really want to go to a hotel. And I was like, okay, well, do you want to have sex in public? She's like, okay. And I just took her behind like a building or near whatever, the McDonald's or something, and just bent her over, pulled down her pants, and just started fucking her. And then I came in her mouth when I was done. I mean, so for her, getting fucked behind a building was actually better than going to a hotel. But for most girls, I would say, yeah, I mean, yeah, it is higher effort. But showing that effort might make her feel like, less of a slut, which is really important. You don't want to make her feel that way. I haven't felt like talking to girls in a while. Well, you got to figure out why. If you don't feel like talking to girls, usually it means either you don't feel like it's worth it, and if it's not, that's fine. You shouldn't feel the need to go out and get girls just for whatever, right? If you don't feel the lust, then don't force it. You'll probably actually be a lot more peaceful. Excuse me. Or you don't feel like you can do it, right? It's either not worth it or you can't do it. Like, oh, I'm just going to get rejected. They don't like me, blah, blah, blah. It's one of those two. And if it's that one, then you just got to get better. There's no other solution. You just got to get good. Okay, flirting for an Enneagram Type 4, since we're not usually very witty and we're pretty comfortable with feelings of melancholy and not in the mood. One second, I gotta get another fucking I gotta blow my nose. fucking sinuses have been killing me. Well, I mean, there's a difference between. So in your mind, you're like, either I'm depressed or I'm higher energy. It's like there's more than just these two fucking solutions, right? So you're like, oh, I'm kind of cool being melancholic, but I don't want to be high energy. Okay, we'll find a little bit of a middle ground. Like, hide the fact that you're, being all fucking sad. Try to just at least be stoic. It's better than being sad. Just like, yeah. And then once you have that stoicism, I mean, you can give compliments. It's not going to land as well as someone who's like, wow, you're really beautiful. You're just going to be like, you're very beautiful. It'll come off a little bit more serious, but it's better than, having I have a feeling, this is just a guess, I don't know, I have a feeling you kind of are a little bit of an Eeyore. You ever watch Winnie the Pooh in the donkey? He's like, hey guys, you probably come off like an Eeyore. And I know people like that. They're just fucking perpetually whiny. You don't necessarily have to be super charming, but just don't be whiny. I'm guessing that you come off whiny. I mean, you probably call it melancholic, right? Melancholy makes it sound very poetic, but it's not. It's probably just probably just a downer. What is your approach delay ratio? Fucking if I know. That's a bunch of math I don't feel like doing. But, okay, how about this way? If I approach 20 girls, I can probably get laid once or twice. I mean, there was a year where I got a date from every approach, and then all but one of those approaches turned into sex. I mean, that year was very slow. It was COVID year, so I think I only fucked like 5 girls. But I only approached 6 girls. Or was there a 7th? Oh yeah, that's right. I didn't really count that one though, but I guess it counts. The ones that I really went after, it was like a half approach. The ones that like I really, really meant, I fucked them. Hector, what's the difference between being emotionally open when going for friends and benefits and going for a relationship with a girl? What should be held back of going for friends and benefits after first time sex? I mean, me personally, not a lot. I'm a pretty open guy. Do you mean emotionally open in general about your life or emotionally open towards her? Because if it's about her, probably shouldn't be expressing too much interest in her, because then she's going to be like, okay, wow, this guy's really opening up. But if you mean about your life in general, I'm pretty open. I'll tell someone that I just met almost anything about my life. But if you mean emotionally open towards her, well then yeah, you need to, limit how much you express your interest to her, like showing how attracted you are to her. Generally, at friends and benefits, you really shouldn't express that you're that interested in her very often. Just like, you look good today. Like, all of your expressions to her should be sexual, right? Of course, if she's trying to like open up to you and she's telling you something, yeah, you should sympathize with her and empathize with her and be a good human being. I'm not saying you should be a piece of shit. I'm just saying if you ever do feel like being lovey-dovey, you shouldn't do it too much. Unless you're going for that lover thing, right? That lover mentality. That's kind of what I had. So I would be really open and sweet and romantic with pretty much every girl, right? Um, but you have to know how to handle that. And that requires a maintenance where like you're super honest, but then women know very clearly that you're just mostly about the sex. I mean, you're still going to get emotions from them. But there's like this, I don't know, it's this they kind of know what's going on. Are there any fetishes that most women find off-putting? Um, if it's dominant stuff, not a lot. Like if you're being dominant towards them, they're pretty much down with everything. You know? I mean, if you're into like fucking blood shit or like shit stuff, no. I would, I would say that probably off puts most girls. But I don't know, spitting on them, slapping them around, tying them up, you know. But if it's you wanting to be, I mean, some girls might get a little upset about threesome stuff, like you wanting another girl. They might find it kind of insulting. Um, but I think most women would find any submissive fantasy to be a little bit off-putting. They might be okay with it up front, but I think that generally they're not going to. They're not. I remember one time there was this girl who I knew from high school, and we would hang out, and it was clear we were into each other. And her mom even told her to break up with her boyfriend and be with me. It was kind of interesting. I knew her boyfriend. I was a piece of shit. I was obviously like, the friend who's trying to fuck. But it was definitely, she was flirting back. It wasn't like I'm clearly in the friend zone. But we would keep touch over the years. And then a few years back, probably like 3-4 years ago, we were flirting and she was thinking about coming to see me. She was still married, but they were having a lot of issues. And one time I just straight up, this is back when I was, still going after girls and boyfriends and husbands. And I was joking to her. I was like, I just want to fuck you and bend you over in front of your husband and just take you. And then she said to me, she's like, well, what if he's into that? And I was like, oh, because I had been kind of confused up until then because we'd always flirted, but like she refrained from like being overtly sexual. And then she was like very clear, like she's like, well, what if he's into that? And I was like, oh, really? And she's like, yeah, he's been pushing to me for me to do this for a while. So he's actually been interested in the cuckolding thing for a while. And I was like so on board. I was like, yes, I totally want to fuck you in front of him. Like that would be so awesome. But she said, yeah, he'd been pushing me to do it, but I always felt uncomfortable with it. So I think that definitely like anything submissive where the guy is getting humiliated or like cuckolding or anything like that, I think women are going to be very hesitant to do it. So if you have any submissive fantasies, I mean, do what you want. It's your life. But I would say most women probably won't respect you that much. So I never ended up doing it with her, never ended up fucking her in front of her husband. Because then I, transitioned to full monogamy and, I realized it was bad. Well, I guess if a husband and wife consented to it and then you had sex with her, I don't know if that would be breaching the moral precepts because he's obviously okay with it. So it's not like infidelity, but it's kind of weird. Best way to indicate interest without being too forward. It's how you do it. It's not about being too forward. It's about being too low value. You can be as forward as you want. You can tell a girl you want to fuck her, and it won't be too forward, right? I think what you're really trying to look for is am I going to get rejected because I'm low value, right? Am I going to get friend zoned, right? I mean, a girl could be attracted to you, and you can walk up and say, wow, you are stunningly beautiful, and she'll blush and be attracted to that. Another guy can do it, and it looks lame, and she's like, thanks, but I have a boyfriend or whatever. It depends your value. So it's not about the compliment. It's about how you say the compliment, and the 3 seconds she sees you before then. So she sees you walking on the street. She's looking at how you look, how you walk, how you carry yourself, you know, your body language, your facial expressions, you know, your dress, like, do you dress well? Because it usually reflects a guy who, you know, has some fucking social skills. And then she's judging that. Then it's how you say it. Excuse me. Hi. I just had to come tell you, you are absolutely beautiful. Okay. That's different than, hi, you're really pretty. Right? They're both being very forward. In fact, the guy who gives the first compliments being even more forward, but he's doing it in a cool way. So it's how you come off, right? That's the thing that makes the difference, and that's what I go over in my day game course. You can probably get it in the description below if you want to get my day game course called Meet Girls Everywhere, or you can just literally type in Meet Girls Everywhere, and it's the first thing that pops up on Google. Oh, hey, here I found another bunch of people selling my my course, or giving my course away for free. Love it. I would appreciate it if you don't pirate my shit. If you really can't afford it, okay. But I would appreciate it if you pay me. How to earn your validation. Well, you have to give a little bit of it in the first place. It's kind of like a it's kind of like if you start playing a video game and you just never win, you're going to give up on the game. The fuck is the point of playing, right? But if you play and you win a little bit and it's awesome and it feels great, then you lose a bunch. Like, I love playing Dota 2. Like, I'm fucking addicted to that game, right? I can't say for sure, but I'm pretty positive that Valve, the company, their matchmaking system, somewhat pressures you, probably like League of Legends, somewhat pressures you to keep a 50% win rate to a certain extent. And if you win a bunch of games, they're gonna put you with like shittier people, because what you should be seeing is that everyone should be relatively your skill level. But what ends up happening is you win a bunch of games, and then you have a string of losses, because in that string of losses you have like very bad players. Like, I'll use kind words, right? People who are just very bad. So they should actually be getting better as you go up, but you'll reach this point where actually you get a bunch of bad players and the enemy team is just playing like they've been a professional team together for years, right? And you're like, the fuck's going on? And so this gets you addicted, this pattern. Like, you win a bunch and you're like, yeah, and then you lose a bunch, and then you want to get that high of winning again, right? So that's the same principle with giving validation. Is, well, you got to give validation up front, right? But you shouldn't take away validation just to like keep her roped in, right? Because so if I'm right, and these companies do actually force this, that's very toxic and evil, okay? So I'm not in the business of forcing playing games with girls' attention, right? I'm more interested in understanding how it works. And then basically, let's say I'm going to, like I earlier, the first example in the stream where I had that guy who has the client who has a Christian relationship, they're going to eventually get married. She won't like respond a lot, right? But then if he pulls back, then she gets interested in him more. So it's like, okay, so I'm being a good person, I'm being attentive and kind, but I see when I do that, you give me less attention. So I'm not getting anything out of it. So what I need to do is pull back some of my emotions, and then you'll start playing your half. But then I kind of go overboard with it, and then you get resentful. So you have to find that balance, right? So in your mind, you're like, I got to make her earn my validation. I don't want you to think of it that way, because if you think of it that way, you're going to create toxic, addictive games, and then she's also going to play them. The way that you instead need to see it is give the level of attention and validation that you feel that you want to give. And then when you start to see her behavior pull back, go, oh, okay, she's not giving attention. So it's not healthy for me to continue giving this attention because it doesn't do any of us good. I'll continue to express myself, and then she'll start to lose attraction for me, and then we'll both lose, right? Because I'm going to become resentful, and she's going to become disinterested. So I'll pull back just a little bit so that she will feel a little bit of like a desire to get back in the game with me, and then we'll maintain that balance. But of course, this never has a perfect balance. There's always going to be a little bit of That's how you need to think of it. You want to think of it as in make her earn your validation because you're coming from a place of you want power. And I don't want you to learn that way. You can, and it does work, but it's very unhealthy. And karma eventually fucks you, and then you end up chasing girls who do it better. Always. Every guy who you think's like pimp daddy, pimp, McPimp, always ends up simping at some point for a girl because it's like live by the sword, die by the sword kind of thing. Like you live by these games and then eventually you'll become a slave to them. Any advice on how to deal with mixed signals? Mixed signals are basically, you got to give me some context. So guys, when you give me questions, giving me a little bit of context goes a long way, right? So when you say what's mixed signals, it could mean a lot of things. Like you could be dealing with a girl who actually doesn't like you that much. She's just being polite and you think it's mixed signals. Or it could be genuine, like she fucks you, but then she'll ignore you for like a week. But that's not really mixed signals. You think they're mixed signals, but they're not. It's like she just wants sex from you. And it's very clear. She doesn't really see you as much beyond that. God, I think I gotta clean. There's so much fucking dusty in here. Oh yeah, it's my fucking blinds. Yeah, I forgot. They're disgusting. I bought an air purifier. I'm gonna put it in because this fucking room sometimes. What's your opinion on routine-based technical game? It's not my thing. Not my thing. There's people who make it work. I don't find it interesting. I think it's boring. I mean, everything at the end of the day has a process. But a routine is like, I'm going to pull out this thing and this thing, or I'm going to use this thing. I don't particularly like it. It's not my style. That's all I'll say. It can work. I just don't like it. How do I text street girl different from the other girl? What the game? What? How do I text street girl different from other girl? Bro, I think I know what you mean. Like a girl that you met on the street, like day game. How do you text her from like girls you meet at the club or something? It's the same. Do you think that before approaching girls, be useful to approach people in general to prepare yourself and make talking to a stranger a little more genuine? Yeah, of course. Like, you know, let's say you're going to go do day game. So, okay, I'm going to go grab a coffee. I'm going to go to Starbucks, and I'm just going to ask the barista, like, how their day's going. Oh, could I get a blah, 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 grande, choco mocha, laka, baka, with cherry cream? I don't fucking know. Yeah, okay, yeah, by the way, how's your day going? Oh, pretty good, da-da-da, yeah, da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, get warmed up. Yeah, great idea. My virgin Christian girlfriend wants to wait till marriage, but is down to do everything else. Thoughts on this kind of dynamic? I always find it kind of interesting. Like I've had a few, like one girl I went on a date with, she was in college, super Christian, but first date I could finger her and she would jerk me off and let me come on her tits. That was totally okay and normal. There was no, but wouldn't do oral, like hard no. But make out with me, finger her senseless, jerk me off all over her titties, like no hesitation. Like just like there was nothing. And she'd done it before with other guys, and I'm like, okay. Another girl, she let me put my dick inside of her, but only like a few inches. So I never counted it as like a full lay, because I didn't break her hymen. But then she let me fuck her ass like a bunch of times, and I could like this girl, I could destroy her throat. Like I literally could like choke her on my dick, and like spit on her face, like treat her like a complete fucking slut. But no vaginal sex, like full penetration. Okay. I think it's an okay dynamic as long as you're satisfied. I'm a perfectionist, so I can't. It's like I need that sex. I feel like there's a missing puzzle piece. And if I don't get that last piece, it's not worth it. But like I said, you can make a relationship be fine without sex. Even just kissing. Do I think it's optimal? No. But can you make it work? Sure. I just don't really see the point, because I don't necessarily agree with... I think people are misreading the Bible. But, you know. Because most of the time in the Bible, they talk about sexual immorality. They talk about fornication a little bit. Most of the time, it's actually immorality, which more relates to infidelity. And if I remember correctly, St. Paul recommended you be celibate, but he said if you have to give in to lust, you should just have one partner. Because yeah, for the most part, most people, if you're having multiple partners, you're probably at some point you're gonna, do some sexual immorality. But is it inherently wrong in and of itself? Not necessarily. But that's another question completely, and I don't want to step on anyone's toes religiously. That's not the point of this channel, but it's fine. I mean, you just got to stick with principles always. Good game principles. Greetings, Hector. Alexandru Georgi. Oh, hello. You're Romanian. It's about as Romanian as you get. Okay. Oh, mixed signals. Context. Girl agreed to go on a date, but then doesn't give me a specific date. She talks to me here and there, reaches out, and then starts ignoring back and forth. That's not mixed signals, see? That's you fucking up at some point. So you say, hey, you want to go on a date? She says, yeah, sure. And you go, okay, what day? And then she stops responding. And then she'll reach out, but then start ignoring me. There's something in your discourse with her, your texting, where you're messing up. Like if I saw your screenshots, I'd go, she's on the fence. So I guess in some ways it's mixed signals, but it's just a game problem. Right? Like you just got to work on it's probably your texting game. Like maybe she says, okay, yeah, sure. And you go, oh, okay, awesome. What day? And then like she doesn't respond. And then you follow up 2 days later. Hey, what day do you want to meet? It's like, nope. You look desperate. So it's your texting. You got to work on your texting. And maybe start ignoring her. Like the next time she reaches out, just straight up ignore her. And see if she'll follow up again. I would have to see the actual texts. Us girls are complicated. I'm a girl too. Oh, that's interesting. But your name is Admiral Chubb. Are you like a butch lesbian? That sounds like a name a man would make. You probably were a man in your last life. Not my real name, and no. Yeah, but like I could never see it would be so hard for me to imagine a woman making her I know your real name is not Admiral Chubb. I know it's not your name. I just mean I mean, like, it sounds like something a man would make. But okay, it's fine. But you're a so you're a feminine girl. Do you also date feminine girls? Like both girly girls? That's interesting. Yes and yes. Oh, cool. Interesting. But yeah, you're so if you are a girl, you're probably like texting like a girl. So you're probably like being a little bit chasey, and then she's being a little bit um like a girl, right? Here's the best way to do it. Have you ever been in a situation where you're the one who's on the fence about a girl, and then she's kind of like being a little bit desperate and texting you a lot? And then whenever she got a little bit desperate and would text you more, it would make you less interested in seeing her? Just reverse engineer it and go, oh, so that's how I'm coming off. Like, you've been in her position before. You know what it's like. Yeah, I am interested, you know? Like, I would love to eat your pussy, but at the same time, I don't know. There's other pussy out there that's probably better, right? Like, you're on the fence. You're interested, but you're not interested. Well, was there ever a time where a girl made you go, oh, you know what? Never mind. I do think I want some. Then, you know, she was able to kind of like, you know, get interest back. So then just reverse engineer that. Try to do it yourself. Also, what I advise is that you should try and make friends with a guy who is good with girls. So basically, you just want to learn what he does. Just like I would advise for a guy who wants to get good with girls. Like, spend time around guys who are good with girls, and you'll just absorb their skills. So I would try and find like a cool guy friend who is just good with girls. Unless you're bi, because if you're bi, then you're gonna get attracted to him, and then you're gonna want to fuck him. But maybe it still might be educational, right? So yeah. Us girls are complicated. Oh yeah, sorry, I already read that. How to use fractionation? You keep asking me questions about Alec, basically. If you're interested in, it sounds like you're very interested in technical game. You should just read Alec's stuff. I mean, he loves using these technical terms. I mean, I understand what fractionation is, right? Fractionation is just a fancy word for, you have this emotion, I'm going to switch it to this emotion. That's all it means, right? So, okay, I'm being really sexual with a girl. Okay, well, fractionation. I'm just going to be really casual and like totally drop the sexual stuff. Like, I'm flirting with her, and then I go, oh, yes, oh, okay, you know, da-da-da. That would be fractionation. Or the opposite, like, I'm being really normal with her, and then I just, like, check her out her ass, be like, you know what? You got a great ass. Boom. That's hella fractionation. Like, damn, we're just totally changing tone here. That's fractionation. That's all it is you change the mood. Same. Deep diving in small talk. Small talk, deep dive. Then once you're in deep diving, once you're like getting really deep, learning about her fucking, who knows, traumas or something, then you just go to like normal stuff. Okay, it's fractionation. That's fractionation. How do you show you're interested in a girl on a first date? Everyone I had ends the same way, getting treated like an unsexy nice guy. Like, initially they're interested, and then they're like, oh, this guy's not sexual, boring. I mean, here's the first thing. It might not actually be what's wrong. You may be thinking that's what's happening, but let's assume you're right. Let's assume that you've correctly identified the issue. Show more sexual interest. Like, be more flirty. Not necessarily like giving compliments, like, but look at her in a sexual way. Like, instead of listening, okay, before I said, like, you should learn how to have a listening face. I gave advice to some guy who's going to college. He's like, what should I work on facial expressions? So we'll work on your listening face, because you want to look like you're interested in what people are saying. Instead of that, instead of just this kind of face, you should look at girls like this. Mm-hmm. Like, imagine you were talking to me, right? And you're asking for advice, and I just kept looking at you like this. Yeah? Oh, yeah? Oh, okay, yeah. Wouldn't you feel like, is Hector trying to fuck me, right? You would be like, that's kind of an interesting facial expression, right? Like, very piercing eye contact, but also, like, playful, like, oh, yeah? Like, if a girl was looking at you this way, you would probably be like, oh, yeah, this girl wants to suck my dick. That's how you should look at her. But it takes balls to do that. It takes courage because you're really putting yourself out there. So very strong eye contact. And check her out. Like, as she's talking, just, like, look at her tits. And then look back up at her and smile. Look back down. Look back up. And if she calls you out on it, she's like, be like, sorry, I can't stop looking at you. Okay. That's how I am all the time with girls. Just, like, blatantly fucking checking them out. Very sexual. So if you don't want to be treated like an unsexy nice guy, be sexy. There's nothing wrong with being a nice guy, but I understand what you mean. It's just the term nice guy. You can be really nice, but be really sexual. So you already had the answer. You're just not seeing it. I'm not being sexual, so I need to be sexual. But it doesn't need to be with your words. You could just have a normal conversation the exact same way you're doing it now, except now you change your facial expressions. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And your voice. Oh, yeah. Okay. Totally changes the energy. And then invite her home. Make a new rule. I'm always going to invite her home after the first date. Always. Even if I feel like there's no chance, I'm still going to go for it. And this will start getting your mind in that sexual energy. How do people become comfortable with anal sex, especially without a condom? Aren't you afraid of poop? Yeah. Oh, you're the one with the Christian girlfriend. So she's okay with anal, which is hilarious to me. But okay, people are really interesting. I mean, yeah, of course. Dude, if you're going to fuck someone in the ass, you're probably going to get poop on your dick at some point. Especially if you don't wear a condom. Like, yeah, you're going to get shit on your dick. That's like, you know, it's going to happen. She isn't interested in it? Well, I mean, you should renegotiate your terms. I'm kidding. But yeah, you're going to get shit on your dick, dude. Okay? The human body is disgusting. Like, in a lot of ways, right? I mean, there's a sewer system right next to the pleasure system. Like, the pleasure district is right next to the fucking sewers. It's going to get messy. I've never had a girl, like, straight shit on my dick, though. I have heard of one girl. The dude told me she was blowing him, and then she threw up on his dick. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I've never had that. No, I've gotten a little bit of poop on my dick, but never, like, straight up, like, fucking shit on my dick. This is such a weird conversation, but yeah. But yeah, dude. I mean, if you expect a girl to have an enema every time she does anal, like, that's unhealthy. Like, you shouldn't have enemas that often. I think every once in a while they're actually really healthy for you, but yeah. Is attraction for women more than looks, whereas men mostly go for the body and looks? It's like, let's say for men it's like 70-30. For women it's 70-30 in the opposite direction. Maybe 60-40. I'd say women care about looks, clearly, right? Men just care about it a little bit more. So for men, it's 60% looks, 40% personality. For women, it's 60% personality, 40% looks. Or it might be in the beginning 70-30, but then it'll kind of, you know, men will care a little bit more about personality. But women care about looks a lot. I mean, just look at how they thirst over guys on, you know, Jason Momoa's, or, you know, Johnny Depp's, or, you know, hot buff guys on TikTok, like that fucking guy who chops wood. Like, women lose their mind. But here's the thing. It's not just his looks. It's his physical ability. And the fact that he's wearing like, that's showing his personality, that he's splitting wood. He's being very masculine, right? If he was just standing there taking pictures, would women still be attracted? Yeah, he's a really good looking motherfucker, right? Like if you're looking for like Chad white guys, like you're 10 out of 10. Chad tattooed rugged white guys, like that's like he's a 10 out of 10 on that book on in that particular demographic, right? So if you're into that, you're into that. But just the fact that he's splitting wood, he's showing a lot of more. He's showing strength. He's showing, ruggedness, like in behavior, right? How do you get a girlfriend who brings other women? Well, you usually need a girl who already is like into women or is very open to it. So it has to be something you talk about pretty early on. People just okay getting poop on their dicks, or am I being weird for thinking there's more to it? Well, it's not like I want poop on my dick. It's just like I'm willing to get a little bit to fuck her in the ass because it's fun to like dominate someone like that. Anal sex is less about the physicality and more about the mentality. It's about like that I'm, doing something dirty. Like that's part of it. I'd only do anal with a BBW or S. What the fuck is an SBBW? So BBW is big, beautiful woman, right? So a little bit thicker. But SBBW, is that like super BBW? Is that like Super Saiyan for BBWs? SBBW is bigger. So it's Super Saiyan big women. Well, shit. Learn something new every day. Hey, my first live stream. Glad to be here. Hello. Glad you're here too. So I'm getting a little bit more viewers now. So maybe 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock Eastern's a little bit better. A little bit better. I'll try that. I'll try 5 Eastern on Saturday. Because I think Sunday's not that good, actually. Because usually people are probably like hungover and shit. Unleashed Alpha by Richard Cooper. Richard Cooper, that's the entrepreneurs in cars kind of guy? No, I'm not. I'm not generally a fan of either of those authors. Rational Male, that's Tomasi right now. No, not my thing, my boy. Not my thing. I'm usually partying at this time. It's 12 p.m. Oh, you're in Europe. You're in mid-Europe. Yeah, Central Europe. Alexander, you're probably Swedish or Norwegian. I'm going to go with Norwegian. That's my final answer. Norwegian. Bam. Scandinavia. Fucking knew it. Look at me. Who is the fucking genius, right? Scandinavia. Knew it. Okay, well, if it's not Norway, it's Sweden or Denmark. Same fucking shit. You guys speak the same language. There's so little distinction between you people. Danish is just Swedish with a dick in its mouth. Oh, you're Finnish? Bro, Finnish is not Scandinavian. Finland is not Scandinavia. Finland is like Walmart Scandinavian. You don't count. All right? You're not Scandinavian, my dude. Finland. Yeah, you guys drink a lot. You're American. You're not supposed to know that shit. Bro, I lived in Europe for 7 years. How long have you been on this channel? I lived in Europe, I literally just moved back to the U.S. 4 months ago. And Americans are not as stupid as you think they are. The only reason you think that is because you get your education about Americans on fucking TikTok, which is ironic because then that means you're the ignorant one. Everyone on social media just shits on Americans constantly. If they ever went to America, Americans are pretty fucking smart. I would say overall Americans are the smartest people I've ever met. The average European is fucking like, no. Like, they're not that smart. You speak multiple languages, I'll give you that, but that's about it. That's about it. The only reason you're cultured is because everyone's next door. Americans would be cultured if everyone's next door, but we fucking conquered everyone next door. What's your opinion on RSD Tyler? I met him once on the street. He was in San Diego. One of my friends who knew about pickup, he's like, hey, the RSD guys are here. I'm like, really? I ran over and I saw Owen, Tyler, whatever. I was like, hey, man, you picked a bad weekend. All the girls are gone because there was a lot of people out of town. And he's like, huh? He looked at me kind of like, I mean, it was a random thing for me to say. I'm sure he was just like surprised. And he was like, okay. And he like held out his fist and I was like, all right, cool. Pound. It's like, nice to meet you. And then he saw a girl. He just went for her. I mean, he just went for it. And he's like, hey, excuse me. And she's like, ignored him. And then I saw RSD Luke, who I had seen some of his social circle stuff. I was like, hey, what's up, dude? I was like, I like your stuff. I like more of his like social circle stuff. He's like, oh, hey, man, nice to meet you. Da-da-da. I was chatting with him. He's like, hey, do you know Brian? He works at your club. I'm like, oh, yeah. He's a cool guy. He's like, yeah, I know him from Scottsdale. Oh, cool. Nice. Awesome. And I chatted him for a little bit, and then Owen came over, and then I was like, yeah, you guys should come into the club I'm working at. He's like, I don't know, man. That's pretty high level. Like, there's really hot girls there. Like, it's kind of a nicer club. He's like, I don't think these guys are ready for that. I'm like, yeah, that's a fair point. You know? And then, I got Luke's number and I texted him some of my articles, but Girls Chase is not really like known on that level at that point. Not at the level RSD was. And he was like, oh, cool articles, and then never talked to him again. So that was my experience with the RSD guys. And then I think RSD Madison, I remember he left a comment on one of my Instagram things a long time ago. He just said, keep up the good work. And I was like, oh, cool, thanks. Never had any interaction beyond those guys. I do know one of the guys who wrote some articles for Girls Chase, and I met him and went out with him. He met Jeffy. Well, he didn't meet Jeffy. He took a girl from Jeffy. But that's it. I don't know. Unless I know someone deep down, I can't really make a judgment on them. I can make a judgment on people's game teachings, right? Like, people have mentioned other guys on this stream. I generally just don't like to talk about other people, though, because I don't know them. But their game teachings will, I'll just tell you, I'm not a fan of pretty much everybody. I don't think anybody's that good. I think everyone's just slightly above average, but when you're slightly above average, you're better. So, do you speak Spanish? No, I don't. Very little. I can understand a little bit, but no, not really. It's pretty embarrassing Spanish. I didn't grow up with my dad, so never learned it. Sorry for the anal questions. There just aren't many people I can ask about this kind of thing. I know, I get it. People ask me these questions. They're like, I just don't have anyone to talk to about this. I'm like, yeah, I totally understand. Is there usually a smell when doing it? Do things like that usually turn you off? No, not really a smell. No. I mean, is it a turn off? I mean, a little bit. I mean, I don't like having shit on my dick. Like, it's not enjoyable. But I liked that I did it. I only do it once or a couple times with a girl just to say I did it. Like, okay, I busted it and then like I came in her ass. Like, if I like to raw dog a girl and then come in her ass, just to like mark my territory, and then I don't need it anymore. There's nothing interesting about it. Do women make the first move ever? Sure, of course they do. They just have to have the context. If you want girls to make the first move, you got to go out alone. That's a good way to have girls make the first move. If you're alone and they're in a group, they'll feel safe to flirt with you. Definitely. Okay, give some Northern European game tips because girls are often making the first move here. Well, that's because they're very masculine. But there's no special game for Finnish girls or Norwegian girls. Like, they're just girls. If they're making the first move, okay, great. Then you should pull faster. If a girl is so interested in you that she's making the first move, then you can pull her really fast. Thoughts on RSD social circle stuff, charity events, daytime brunch? I have no way. I don't know. I just watched a few of RSD Luke's videos like 8 years ago. That's it. I don't know much beyond that. I don't know. What can you say to piss off a girl? You got some fucking interesting questions, my dude. All right. I'll enter direct game at night. What? Why are you asking me about direct game? Don't you have a girlfriend? Don't you have a girlfriend? You should be focused on your girlfriend, my friend. I'm just asking about general game. I'm not playing any cheat. Okay. God damn it. Fucking stuffy as shit. How would you pick up an ultra hot OnlyFans stripper that gets a whole lot of attention from everyone? I would be really direct. Like, really, do you know her in real life? Or are you talking about over social media? If you're trying to talk to her over social media, you got to have some clout. Like, you got to have something going for you. Or just be, like, really hot and have amazing pictures. But if you know her in person, like, I would just be really direct with her. Be like, damn, you're sexy. Be like, I want to take you out sometime. Like, be really dominant and direct. And then if she's not interested, move on instantly. Like, don't chase. Chasing is the worst thing you could do for a girl like that. All right. Let's do the last question. How would you get a girl with over 100,000 followers on Instagram that was introduced to you? Same thing with the OnlyFans question. I would just be really direct. And don't talk to her on Instagram. Get her phone number. And don't even think about her followers. It doesn't make a girl hotter. It's going to change the way she treats people because she's kind of like in the fucking clouds, but I would just be really direct. Be like, hey, you want to go out for a coffee? Like, just fucking normal. Treating her like every other girl. That would be the any important safety tips for those who are married and wanting to try pick up on the side? Yeah, here's the safety tip. Don't fucking cheat on your wife. Don't cheat on your wife. Hell is very hot, my friend. It's not worth it. Just ask yourself, is having a little bit of pussy worth getting tortured in hell? Not really, okay? If you want to go pick up girls, be honest with your wife and get a fucking divorce. Otherwise, stick to your fucking marriage. I'm serious. Maybe you don't believe in hell, but it doesn't matter. Whether you believe in it or not, you know, you can still find your way there. So good luck. We've all been to hell many times, my friend. Many, many times. Many, many times. Beyond counting. But that's a question you're gonna have to search for yourself. How would I know how hot hell is? How would I know? Interesting question. But I can promise you, we've all been there a lot of times. You don't have to believe in it. It's not eternal, though. That's the good part. Eventually, the torturing ends, but you can always go back. Anyways, that's Buddhism, my friend. That's a totally different discussion. So, if you want to learn more about hell, go look up Buddhism. So, I think I will end it there. I'm going for an hour and 15 minutes. How long are you going to be there for after the stuff you've done? Well, I'm not going anymore. That's the good part. I figured out how to avoid it. And I really wasn't that bad. You know, I made some mistakes, but generally I was pretty good. I would, if I were you, I would go look up Buddhism and stream entry. Look up the phrase stream entry, or there's another word, Sotapanna, Sottappanna. If you want to avoid hell, get that. But I don't want to go too much into Buddhism. It's a pickup channel, right? But there's nothing wrong with having sex, right? It's only bad if you lie, steal, kill, or hurt. Sexual immorality, which is infidelity, right? Like the guy who wants to cheat on his fucking wife. It's a pretty big one. Or fucking a girl who has a boyfriend or a husband. Also bad. Or intoxications. You avoid that, you avoid hell. All right? Cool. Anyways, if you're interested in that, go look up Theravada Buddhism. Thai forest tradition. It's good old fundamental Buddhism. Not that McDonald's shit. Okay, so good talking to you guys. We will talk next week. I'll do Saturday, and we will talk. I'll try and do. We're getting a lot more viewers around this time, so you know what? I was late anyways because I was out at the gym and then had to pick up some stuff. Let's do 5 p.m. Eastern, and we'll do 4 p.m. Saturday. We'll try that. Unless I have Dungeons and Dragons on Saturday. Sometimes it's Saturday, sometimes it's Sunday. But I have my own apartment now, so I can do live streams. So yeah, I'll announce it on the channel. Buddhism was debunked by Shankara. No, it wasn't. That's Advaita Vedanta, the fucking non-dualism. No, it wasn't debunked. I mean, he's an interesting writer, but he didn't debunk Buddhism. Anyways, totally different discussion. Hope you guys have a great day. Good luck. Be a good person. Don't lie. Don't cheat. And as long as you follow that, you know, don't hurt people. Go have sex. Go have fun. And I will see you soon.